Have you ever wondered why one simple comment can stay in your mind for hours, days, or even years, while dozens of compliments disappear almost instantly? Maybe someone criticized your work, your appearance, your decisions, or even your personality. Maybe they didn't even say it harshly. Yet somehow, their words kept replaying in your head long after the conversation ended. The strange part is that deep down, you may know their opinion shouldn't matter that much. You may even know they were wrong. But it still affects you. Why? The answer has less to do with the criticism itself and much more to do with how the human mind is wired. What if I told you that the reason criticism hurts so much isn't because you're weak, overly sensitive, or insecure? What if the real reason is that your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do? Most people never realize this, but your mind treats social rejection as a serious threat. Thousands of years ago, being accepted by your group wasn't just nice, it was necessary for survival. If your tribe rejected you, you could lose protection, resources, and even your life. As a result, the human brain evolved to pay very close attention to signs of social disapproval. Today, you're not likely to be abandoned in the wilderness because someone criticized your presentation at work. But your brain hasn't completely updated its operating system. A negative comment can still trigger emotional alarms that were originally designed to protect your survival. That's why criticism often feels much bigger than it actually is. Your logical mind hears a sentence. Your emotional brain hears a threat. Someone says, "You could have done that better." But deep inside, your brain may translate it into something entirely different. "I'm not good enough. I failed. They don't respect me. People are judging me. I might lose their approval." And once those interpretations begin, a chain reaction starts. You replay the conversation. You imagine what you should have said. You analyze every word. You wonder what other people think. You start defending yourself in your head. You create arguments with someone who isn't even in the room anymore. Sound familiar? Here's something even more interesting. Not all criticism affects you equally. Think about it. A random stranger online might insult you, and after a few minutes you forget about it. But if a parent, spouse, close friend, mentor, coach, or boss says something similar, it can stay with you for days. Why? Because criticism becomes more powerful when it comes from people whose opinions are connected to your identity. The more importance you place on someone's approval, the more emotional weight their criticism carries. In other words, criticism hurts most when it threatens something you deeply care about. And often, what hurts isn't the criticism itself. It's the meaning attached to it. Imagine two people receive the exact same feedback. You need to improve your communication skills. One person thinks, "Okay, that's useful. I'll work on it." The other thinks, "I'm terrible at this." Everyone probably notices. Same feedback. Completely different emotional response. The difference isn't the criticism. The difference is the story being created around it. This is one of the most important psychological insights you can understand. Events don't determine your emotional experience nearly as much as the meaning you assign to those events. And those meanings often come from your past. If you grew up in an environment where mistakes were heavily criticized, criticism may feel especially painful today. If you were frequently compared to others, judged harshly, or made to feel that your value depended on your performance, your brain may have learned to associate criticism with rejection. That's why certain comments seem to hit a nerve. They're not just touching the present. They're touching old emotional memories. Sometimes a comment from today activates feelings that have been sitting quietly inside you for years. And most people never realize that's what's happening. They think they're reacting to the comment. But often they're reacting to everything the comment represents. There's another hidden reason criticism hurts. Many people unknowingly tie their self-worth to their achievements. When they succeed, they feel valuable. When they fail, they feel less valuable. When they receive praise, they feel confident. When they receive criticism, they feel diminished. This creates a very fragile form of confidence. Because if your value depends on always performing well, criticism automatically becomes dangerous. Every mistake feels like proof that something is wrong with you. Every negative comment feels like evidence that you're falling short. But healthy confidence works differently. Healthy confidence doesn't mean believing you're perfect. It means understanding that your value remains unchanged even when you make mistakes. Think about the people who accomplish extraordinary things. Athletes, entrepreneurs, artists, writers, leaders, public speakers, content creators. They all receive criticism. Constantly. The difference is not that they avoid criticism. The difference is that they stop treating criticism as a measure of their worth. They learn to separate what they do from who they are. A failed project doesn't mean they're failures. Negative feedback doesn't mean they're worthless. A disagreement doesn't mean they're wrong. And that's an incredibly powerful mindset. Because once you learn that distinction, criticism becomes less threatening. Another reason criticism affects you so strongly is something psychologists call negativity bias. Your brain naturally pays more attention to negative information than positive information. Imagine receiving 10 compliments and 1 criticism. Which one will you remember tonight? For most people, it's the criticism. Not because it's more important. Not because it's more accurate. Simply because your brain is wired to notice potential threats. Your ancestors survived because they paid attention to danger. The human brain developed to prioritize what could go wrong. That's helpful when you're facing physical threats. But it can become exhausting in modern life. One negative comment can overshadow dozens of positive experiences. One criticism can dominate your thoughts while every compliment fades into the background. Understanding this tendency gives you power. Because once you recognize the pattern, you stop assuming every negative thought is true. You begin questioning your reactions. You ask yourself, is this criticism actually accurate? Is there something useful here? Am I reacting to the present moment or to an old emotional wound? Would I judge someone else as harshly as I'm judging myself? Those questions create distance between the criticism and your emotional response. And that distance can completely change the outcome. Now here's something that may sound surprising. Sometimes criticism hurts less when you stop trying to avoid it. Most people spend enormous amounts of energy trying to protect themselves from criticism. They avoid taking risks. They avoid expressing opinions. They avoid standing out. They avoid pursuing goals that matter to them. Why? Because criticism feels uncomfortable. But the problem is that avoiding criticism often creates an even bigger problem. You end up living according to other people's expectations. You become trapped in a constant search for approval. And no matter how hard you try, approval is never guaranteed. Someone will always disagree. Someone will always criticize. Someone will always have a different opinion. That's simply part of being human. The moment you accept that reality, something interesting happens. Criticism starts losing some of its power. Because you're no longer expecting universal approval. You're no longer shocked when someone disagrees. You're no longer treating criticism as evidence that you failed. Instead, you start seeing it as information. And information can be useful. Not every criticism is valid. But some criticism contains valuable insights. The challenge is learning how to separate helpful feedback from unnecessary judgment. Emotionally mature people don't automatically accept criticism. But they don't automatically reject it either. They examine it. They ask, is there something I can learn from this? Is this person's opinion informed? Does this align with reality? Can this help me improve? If the answer is yes, they use it. If the answer is no, they let it go. That's a skill. And like any skill, it improves with practice. Here's another powerful realization. Sometimes the criticism that hurts the most is the criticism you secretly fear might be true. Think about that. When criticism touches an insecurity you already carry, it tends to feel much more painful. That's why self-awareness matters. The better you understand your own fears, doubts, and insecurities, the less control they have over you. When you acknowledge them honestly, criticism loses some of its ability to surprise you. You become more grounded, more resilient, more emotionally stable. You stop needing everyone else's approval to feel okay. And perhaps that's one of the greatest forms of freedom a person can experience. Because the truth is, no matter how kind you are, no matter how talented you are, no matter how intelligent you are, no matter how hard you work, someone, somewhere, will criticize you. Not because you're failing. Because you're visible. Because you're human. Because different people see the world differently. The goal is not to become immune to criticism. The goal is to stop letting criticism define who you are. You'll still feel disappointed sometimes. You'll still have moments where certain comments sting. That's normal. But you'll recover faster. You'll stop replaying conversations endlessly. You'll stop carrying every negative opinion with you. You'll stop abandoning yourself whenever someone disagrees with you. And that's when real confidence begins to emerge. Not the confidence that comes from being praised. The confidence that comes from knowing your worth isn't determined by praise or criticism. Because at the end of the day, other people's opinions will always change. Some will admire you. Some will doubt you. Some will support you. Some will criticize you. But your value as a human being remains the same. The day you stop measuring your worth through the eyes of others is the day criticism begins losing its power over you. And when that happens, you gain something far more valuable than approval. You gain freedom. You gain peace. And you finally realize that the voice that matters most isn't the one criticizing you from the outside. It's the one speaking to you from within. If this helped you understand your mind better, subscribe for more videos like this.